Hello everyone! Today we are on the Star Wars The Old Republic test server on the last day that it will be available until it goes down for the expansion, Legacy of the Sith 7.0, that will be coming out on February 15th, 2022. We are on here taking a look at this sniper and its changes between the past expansions and the upcoming expansion. I have personally just recently learned Marksmanship, one of the 3 disciplines, but I haven't had a chance to check out Engineering and Virulence, and there is some very interesting, potentially scary, potentially okay, changes coming up, especially to those 2. So we're going to go through the new trees, what it looks like, and what your sniper might look like in the future compared to now. So first off, the important thing to know is here's your disciplines. You'll notice on this specific character, I actually have Sniper and Mercenary, and I can actually switch between those if I want to, and then between the 3 disciplines related to them. So I'm going to go back to Sniper, and over here, I've chosen Marksmanship as my discipline, and you can see the new tree over here. This tree does not show every single ability you have. Instead, it shows 1, things that are directly related to your discipline, in this case, Marksmanship, and 2, things that are a choice. So your basic rifle shot will not show up in here. Only things that are directly related to Marksmanship or a choice are on this side here. So in the middle is your discipline abilities as well as your choices, and on the right hand side is your passives related to your discipline. So first off, in Marksmanship, at level 23, you'll get Laze Target, much like you had before, and Ambush, much like you had before. But where it gets kind of interesting is at level 27, you'll receive the choice of 3 passives that you get to pick between that will change the way one of your key abilities work. In this case, it will be Ambush for the sniper. So at level 20, I believe it's for, yeah, just for Marksmanship, and it's per discipline. So the 3 ways that Ambush could change, and Ambush is just a really big attack and ignores armor, and you can choose between these 3. The first is called Shrap Shot. Ambush deals splash damage to nearby targets and slows them by 30% for 6 seconds. The second option is Relentless Ambush. The energy cost of Ambush is reduced by 5. Each use of Ambush grants Recklessness a Relentless Ambush, lowering the cooldown of your next ambush by 1.5 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. And the third option is Targeted Ambush, increases the crit hit damage of Ambush by 20%. Killing a target with an ambush critical hit resets the cooldown of Laze, Target, and Ambush. So 3 very interesting choices. The first one makes it a multi-target attack as well as a slow instead of a single target attack with no slow. The second one is kind of to help with the idea of cooldowns and energy management. And the third one is and also increases the crit. So some players, especially who are doing single targets, are going to have to do some math and figure out which of these might be more useful. And it may change the way that your rotation works right now, because it'll change the way the cooldown works for either of these 2 here. And when it's going to be available. So at level 35, you'll get the choice of 2 passives and 1 instant ability. So your 4-second stun as a sniper is called Maim. By default, it was available before to your character automatically quite early on. In the expansion, Maim may not be on your bars right away, as it is part of the choice. So the 3 options are Maim, your 4-second stun. Second option is Evasive Maneuvers. Countermeasures grants evasive maneuvers, increasing your chance to dodge melee and ranged attacks by 200% and reducing the damage you take from force and tech attacks by 75% for 3 seconds. Additionally, activating countermeasures resets the cooldown of covered escape. And the third option is Shatter Snipe. The critical hit damage of Snipe is increased by 20%. Dealing damage to a target with Snipe inflicts trauma for 10 seconds, reducing all healing the target receives by 20%. So once again, if you want that 4-second stun, you have to actively choose it. Otherwise, it will be removed from your bars and you'll get the other passives instead. So the 4-second stun can be useful in all types of content, but not very super useful in operation bosses or flashpoint bosses. At level 39, you'll pick up Penetrating Blast, which is another key ability for the Marksmanship Sniper. And at level 43, however, you get to change the way it works. So right now, it sunders the target, which reduces their armor rating, does a ton of damage, and it's a channeled ability, so it's casted over time. At level 43, It increases the armor penetration of Penetrating Blast by 20%, and Penetrating Blast now immobilizes targets for the duration of the channel, so you do get a little bit of a stun there. Energy Barrel increases energy costs of Penetrating Blast by 10 energy, and increases the critical hit damage and critical hit chance by 20%, so it makes it cost more, but it can do more damage. And lastly, retargeting is the third option. Whenever Penetrating Blast deals damage, the cooldown of Lay's target is reduced by 2 seconds. So Lay's target is your green buff up here for your crit chance. So three very different options there to change the way Penetrating Blast works. So at level 47, you'll have another choice. And this is another choice where you have 1 clickable ability or 2 passive abilities you can choose from. So as a Marksmanship sniper, you actually have quite a few buffs that you deal with. The main one is Lay's target, the green one. And then there's also the red one. And this increases, this is basically a big old damage and accuracy boost. And this one will not be available by default. If you want it, you have to actively take it. Otherwise, you'll get one of these 3 passives or 2 passives. So your other 2 options are your target acquired, much like you had before, increases ranged and tech accuracy by 30% and armor penetration by 15% for 10 seconds and immediately restores 15 energy. So the other 2 passive options are, I click it, passive, it goes off my bars. Ballistic Redistribution, critically hitting with a weapon, attack restores energy. Or Laser Focus, critically hitting with a weapon attack reduces Lay's target's cooldown by 2 seconds. So that can once again change the way things work there. And we'll just have to listen to those players who like to do the math and like to do the testing to kind of figure out which one is most useful for us. However, if you're a very casual player and you honestly just want less abilities on your bars, you can totally just not choose the middle one and get a passive bonus to your damage and not even have to worry about that one at all. At level 51, you'll pick up Follow Through, which is another key ability for the Marksmanship Sniper, the one you use after basically every ability. And at level 60, you'll start making choices that are going to be very similar across Marksmanship, Engineering, and Virulence. There is going to be a key difference later on between these 3 that is not similar to the way other classes actually have to make choices in the expansion. So at level 60, Snapshot is the first option. It's a passive. Entering cover makes the next snipe or lethal shot activate instantly. This effect cannot occur more than once every 6 seconds. The second is Ballistic Dampers. Entering cover grants 3 charges of Ballistic Dampers. Each charge absorbs 30% of the damage dealt by an incoming attack. This effect cannot occur more than once every 1.5 seconds. And lastly, Pillbox Sniper reduces the cooldown of Entrench by 15 seconds, and Cover Pulse knocks targets back an additional 5 meters. So one important thing to know is that if you are playing a sniper right now, you may have the Established Foothold set bonus set, and that is very important in the way that it affects Entrench, and Entrench gives you like a huge boost. Remember that set bonuses are going away, and they are changing to being on implants. It's kind of a crazy change. We'll see if that Entrench boost makes it onto implants or not. I'm not entirely sure yet. But those are your 3 options at level 60. So at level 64, you'll get Sniper Volley, which is your last kind of important buff as your Marksmanship Sniper. At level 68, you'll choose between Reestablish Range, your first option. Countermeasures purges all movement impairing effects when activated and grants Reestablish Range, increasing your movement speed by 75% for 6 seconds. Additionally, the final shot of series of shots and Penetrating Blast knocks back the target if they are within 10 meters. So if you're familiar with the old utility system, then there's a good chance that you may be familiar with some of the ones in this tree. Some of the utilities made it into the new trees for 7.0. So the second option at 68 is Ruthless Efficiency. Increases the damage dealt by suppressive fire by 25%. Another very familiar one. And Overprepared is your last option. Reduces the cooldown of Meticulous Preparation by 45 seconds and increases your damage reduction by 15% for 15 seconds after activating Meticulous Preparation. Your next choice is at level 73, and this is the rough one. So at level 73, all classes, all disciplines have to make an important choice, often between 3 kind of key abilities. So the Sniper is unfortunately getting hit with some of their very cool and interesting abilities in this level 73 choice. However, all three are fairly situational, and you should be able to choose which one you need based on the fight, and you shouldn't suffer, I'm hoping, too much between choosing between them for individual fights. So the first option is going to be Hollow Locate. Hollow Locate, Orbital Strike, and Ballistic Shields are going to be your options. You'll notice I don't have all three on my bars anymore. I will only have the one that I choose at any given point. So Hollow Locate's the really fun one, where you... Oh, I don't have a weapon. Let's put a sniper rifle on. Where you put it down, put down your little circle on the ground, and then you can transfer back to it. So in the previous game, so in the previous expansions, before 7.0, you would have all three of these. Now you have to choose one. So that's your first option. Your second option is Orbital Strike. That's your big AoE ability. It's a lot of fun. It's probably one of the most iconic abilities in the entire game. And the last option is Ballistic Shield. And this is especially for group content. It's a big old shield. Once again, it's very iconic, very visually striking. Big, giant shield that goes up over all of your entire party and guards them for, 20% damage reduction. So that one is kind of a bummer to have to choose between, but like I said, for most fights, you're only going to really need one a lot of the time. For example, Hollow Locate, if you need to move around a lot, that's going to be your main choice if it's super important to move to a specific location or get out of the way. Orbital Strike, probably going to be really useful in any fights with a billion enemies. And Ballistic Shield is when you're dying all day, every day. Watch, the comments are going to be filled with snipers telling me I don't know what I'm talking about, which I don't. I just learned Marksmanship like 5 days ago. So level 78, you're going to make a final choice. And before you get freaked out, Engineering, don't worry about Orbital Strike, you're fine. At level 78, you're going to pick between these three. Augmented Shields increases the amount of damage absorbed by Shield Probe by 30%. Second is Calculated Pursuit. You gain 4 charges of Calculated Pursuit upon exiting cover, which allows Snipe and Lethal Shot to be activated while moving. Each use of Snipe or Lethal Shot consumes 1 charge, and consumption of the first charge triggers a 20% second rate limit on this skill. This effect lasts up to 15 seconds, but re-entering cover removes the effect prematurely. And lastly, Seek Cover. When Entrench ends or you leave cover while Entrench is active, you gain Seek Cover, which increases your movement speed by 50% and grants immunity to movement impairing effects. Lasts 6 seconds. So if you're playing Marksmanship and you want to know about the passives, I'm not going to read them out all the way. Just take a look on the top right here. I'll mouse over them for you and you can zoom in. Sniper's Nest increases the energy regeneration. At level 23, you'll get Heavy Diversion. At level 35, you'll get the passive Zeroing Shots. At level 43, you'll get the passive Recoil Control. At level 51, you'll get Muzzle Fluting. At level 60, you'll get Portable Bunker. At level 68, you'll get Honed Shots. At level 73, you'll get Marksman Finesse. And level 78, you'll get Finish the Job. Alright, now let's move on to Engineering. So Engineering may know that Orbital Strike is actually kind of a key part of what they get up to as Engineering. And I believe in the original round of when they were posting the sniper to the test server, Orbital Strike was a choice. And for Engineering, that's a really much rougher choice to make. So what they actually did was they gave Engineering their Orbital Strike by default, and instead put a different ability on the chopping block for being a choice rather than by default. So you'll notice when I'm a Marksmanship sniper, I have Takedown that lets me attack enemies when they're under 30%. The death blow attack is here by default. It's not on my tree. In Engineering, Takedown becomes part of the tree as a choice. And instead of having that Orbital Strike as a choice at level 73, my 4-second stun main goes there instead. So they kind of flip-flop them. So now let's take a look at this whole tree for Engineering. So instead of having Laze Targets, it gets renamed to a different name. I don't remember what the green one is called by default, but Engineering, it will be called Targeting System. Increases the crit hit chance of your next explosive probe by 100%. When Targeting System is utilized, it applies a systems upgrade to you for 20 seconds, increasing the damage done by your combat probes by 5%. So at level 23, you'll pick up Explosive Probe, a big part of Engineering, NG Sniper. And at level 23, so this is the part that I really don't know. I have not played Engineering and Virulence really at all. Like, I've never even looked at them. So at 27, you'll be able to change the way Explosive Probe works like this. Your first option is Laser Targeting. Increases the critical hit damage of Explosive Probe by 20%. System Kick. When Explosive Probe deals damage, it extends your system's upgrade by 5 seconds if active and reduces the target's ranged and tech accuracy by 20% for 8 seconds. And lastly, Explosive Reset. Killing an enemy resets Explosive Probe's cooldown. At level 35, so you'll have that choice of Takedown, only usable on targets at or below 30% health. And your other two passives are Shatter Snipe. The critical hit damage of Snipe is increased by 20%. Dealing damage to a target with Snipe inflicts trauma for 10 seconds, reducing all healing the target receives by 20%. And lastly, Evasive Maneuvers is your third option. Countermeasures grants evasive maneuvers, increasing your chance to dodge, melee, and ranged attacks by 200%, and reducing the damage you take from force and tech attacks by 75% for 3 seconds. Additionally, activating countermeasures resets the cooldown of Covered Escape. So for this one, once again, we're going to watch some other players, see what they do on the math. I have a feeling Takedown is probably going to be the most worth it to take, but once again, if you're a player who's more casual, who would like less abilities on their bars, you're probably pretty safe taking one of these two right here. And this one's actually more of a defensive ability if that's what you need. So at level 39, Interrogation Probe will be there for you, much like before. You got to get your probes. And at level 43, you'll be able to change the way that it works. So the first option to change it is called Critical Interrogation. Your critical hit chance is increased by 10% against targets affected by your Interrogation Probe. The second option is Calculated Measures. Whenever you deal weapon damage to a target affected by your Interrogation Probe, the duration of your system's upgrade is extended by 1 second. And the third option is Shocking Blast. EMP Discharge deals 20% more damage to targets affected by Interrogation Probe. I've just been informed by chat that in Engineering, Takedown is not quite as important as in the Marksmanship discipline. So thanks, that's pretty useful to know. Alright, at level 47, you'll have a choice of 3 options. One of those options will again be target acquired, that red buff that you have. Normally you would have it all the time. Now it's part of the tree as a choice. The other 2 options are Efficient Systems. Explosive Probe, Interrogation Probe, and Plasma Probe generate 1 energy if they deal damage while Systems Upgrade is active. This effect cannot occur more than once per second. And the other passive you can choose is Targeting Beam. Critical hit damage is increased by 10%. Killing an enemy while Systems Upgrade is active resets the cooldown of targeting systems. So once again, if you're a more casual player, especially like me right now, and you would like 1 less button to click, you could skip this buff altogether. And if you're a theory crafter, you're going to be doing the math to figure out which of these 3 options is actually better in different situations. So at level 51, you'll pick up your last probe there, your Plasma Probe. At level 60, you'll start making some of the same choices as you would for Marksmanship. But at level 64, you will pick up your EMP Discharge, your last NG ability. But the level 73 choice is different than Marksmanship. So the big difference is that your options are Maim, your 4-second stun, your second is Hollow Locate, your teleport kind of ability, and third is Ballistic Shield, which is the big shield that you can put around your group. And we talked more about the rest of these choices back in Marksmanship. So I'm going to show the passives for NG, and I'm not going to read them, just show them on the left. So at level 1, you get Engineer's Tool Belt. At level 23, you'll pick up Cluster Bombs. At level 35, you'll pick up Explosive Engineering. At level 43, you'll pick up Custom Autoloader. At level 51, you'll pick up Electrified Railgun. At 60, you got Sector Ranger. At 68, you'll have Scatter Bombs. At 73, you'll have Energy Overrides. And lastly, at 78, you'll have Electrified Conduit. And lastly, you'll take a look at Virulence, which is one I really wanted to learn because it looks pretty cool. I like poison. So at level 23, you'll get what used to be, I think, Lace Targets, the green buff. It'll be called Viral Targeting now. Rename, same icon though. Increases the crit chance of your next cull or takedown by 100%. When viral targeting is utilized, it grants integrated toxins for 10 seconds, increasing the damage and crit hit chance of your poison effects by 5%. You'll get Corrosive Grenade at 23, kind of like you would have it before, and this is a 5-meter radius grenade that deals poison damage on impact and then a lot of poison damage over a long period of time, and also slows. And here's the way that you can change it. So at level 27, you'll have 3 different options to change it. The first one is called Corrosive Technologies. Corrosive Grenade deals 10% more initial damage, so up front. In addition, Corrosive Grenade extends the duration of integrated toxins by 1 second for each target it hits. Interesting. Second option is Critical Grenades. Corrosive Grenade increases the critical hit damage of your periodic poison effects to targets and effects by 10%. And lastly, Corrosive Refund. Acid or your money back. Corrosive Grenade refunds 2 energy for each target it hits. So at level 35, you'll be making that option again that involves, much like Marksmanship Sniper, you'll have to choose whether or not you want your 4-second stun or if you'd rather some passive buffs. So you've got your 4-second stun, Maim, is your first option. Your second option is Shatter Snipe. The critical hit damage of Snipe and Lethal Shot is increased by 20%. Dealing damage to a target with Snipe or Lethal Shot inflicts trauma for 10 seconds, reducing all healing the target receives by 20%, so like a damage buff. Or Evasive Maneuvers, which is more on the defensive side of things. So you get to choose which it is that you actually want to have. So the third, at level 39, you'll pick up Cull, much like you would before, and Cull is a, it's an attack, but it multiplies basically your poison effects from what I understand from the tooltip here, and it doesn't do a ton of damage up front. So here is how you can actually change the way it works. At level 43, you'll have 3 different options. So the first option is Corrosive Impair. Cull deals 10% more weapon damage and slows the target by 50% for 6 seconds, so turn it into a slow. Second, Winnow. Killing a target during Cull resets the cooldown of Cull and deals poison damage to nearby enemies if the target was affected by one of your poisons, so make it spread. And lastly, Corrosive Targeting. The armor penetration critical hit chance and critical hit damage of Cull is increased by 20% while Integrated Toxins is active. So at level 47, you'll make that choice again whether you want Target Acquired as an active ability that you click a buff to your attacks, or if you'd rather choose between these 2 passives that you have available here. So the first passive option you have available is called Focused Integration. Viral Targeting's cooldown is extended by 30 seconds, but its integrated toxin effects last twice as long. Oh, nice. You guys are so nice explaining how it works in chat, because I haven't played this one yet. So at level, your other option is Critical Compounds. Critically hitting with periodic damage generates 1 energy. So if you're the kind of player who is very casual, would like less abilities to click, you could probably choose one of these 2 passives, and you could ignore this red buff altogether. If you're a theory crafter or want to see what might do more damage, we'll have to wait and see what people figure out for the math and see which one is better to pick. So at level 51, we'll get the Weakening Blast ability, just like you would, much like before. At level 60, you'll start making those same choices as the other 2 trees, and you'll pick up a Lethal Shot, much like you would before, at level 64. So the other thing that you'll need to decide, especially, is at level 73, the choice is the same as on Marksmanship. For Virulence and Marksmanship are the most similar of these 2. And your options are Hololocate, Orbital Strike, and Ballistic Shield. And those are your big choices that you're going to have to make. So I'm going to roll over the passives so you can take a look if you want to read these. If you play, for example, a Viro Sniper. You've got Toxic Regulators at level 1. Corrosive Dispersion at level 23. And Lethal Purpose at level 35. 43, you'll have Corrosive Microbes. 51, you'll have Decay. 60, you'll have Lethal Takedown. 68, you'll have Devouring Microbes. 73, you'll have Corrosive Mine. And level 78, you'll have Toxic Surge. So the big thing to take away if you're playing a sniper of really any tree is that 1, your 4-second stun is not automatically on the tree anymore. In your abilities, you have to choose it. 2nd is target acquired. The red buff is not automatically in your abilities. You would have to choose it. And 3rd is that level 73 choice is really going to be a big choice and kind of a not very fun one for the snipers, though each ability is very different and they can be quite situational. I gotta go now because I got a date with Nightmare Mode Dread Council. I hope you guys enjoyed this overview of the sniper on the test server. We don't know how much is going to change between now and what we'll actually see on the live server in 7.0 on February 15th, but I hope whatever it is, if you're a sniper, I hope you like what you see. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to this channel, you know, Star Wars The Old Republic videos, and if you want to show your support for this huge project of covering the game, visit SWTORista.com/support. Bye!